Hello and welcome back. Today's video is going to be 5 makeup brands that I'm over and 5 makeup brands that I'm very, very excited about. I've been thinking about making this video for a while, and someone recently did request that I make an updated brands I don't support video. I didn't want to do a fully negative video, so I thought I would do the 5 brands that I'm not into and 5 brands that I'm really, really excited about. So I thought that would be really, really fun to do. Now, of course, the brands I'm saying I do not support, I am not saying other people shouldn't support them. I'm not telling anybody what to do. You know, we all get to spend our money on what we want. So everybody gets to make those decisions for themselves. So I'm not trying to convince anybody not to buy from the brands that I don't buy from or to buy from the ones that I do. So just a little disclaimer there. And the brands I'm saying I'm not into anymore, I still own products from them because some of these were once, you know, brands I was really excited about, and some were even my favorite brands. And I'm not getting rid of those products because I don't want to be wasteful. And who knows, things may change over time. You know, these brands may improve themselves and maybe I'll buy from them in the future. I'm not sure. Well, maybe the ones I like, I won't buy from in the future. Things can definitely change at any time. There are other brands that I don't support as well that I'm not including in this video. And there's also some brands that I'm kind of on the fence about at this point. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of focus on these. I think you get it. Let's get into it. All right, I'll start with the ones that I'm over so that we can end on a positive note. And first up is Anastasia Beverly Hills. If you've been watching my channel, I said that I stopped supporting this brand almost a year ago at this point, sometime last summer. They've had a lot of controversies and there's tons of YouTube videos out there about this. If you do want to go watch those, you can easily search for it and find the information yourself. Basically, there was a lot of information that came out about them that I was really, really not that into. They did rip off a small influencer and that whole thing was really, really shady, and I don't want to support companies that do that. They did also collab with an MLM, which I do not support MLMs, so again, really was not into that. Honestly, Norvina as a person has also really turned me off. She's friends with some very problematic people, and just the whole brand, kind of since she started leading the brand, has done a nosedive. Tons of people have done videos about it, and I know I'm not the only person that thinks that. I really still like some of the older Anastasia products that I have, like the glow kits, and I really love the original Norvina palette, but yeah, I have not bought anything from them in well over a year, and I just don't really want to. It's just really turned me off as a brand. I will say I like their eyeshadow formula. I still have the Sultry and the original Norvina palette. I like the formulas on those, but overall their matte formula is really not my favorite. I did recently declutter the Soft Glam palette, which was one of my favorite palettes for a very, very long time. But yeah, overall I'm really turned off by the brand. Oh yeah, there were some other videos that I saw also talking about how they have a very toxic work environment, and there was just a lot of negativity there. So again, you can watch videos if you want to know more about those things. But yeah, personally, I am really over this brand. Sadly, it was once one of my favorites, but not anymore. Next up is Too Faced. And again, this was a favorite brand of mine quite a while ago though, several years ago. I've been turned off by them for quite some time, and they have a lot of controversies. One that comes to mind is the Rich Lives Matter cake that the owner did. That was horrible, horrible, horrible. You know, can't say anything more about that. Absolutely terrible. There were some other things as well, and their products in general, even before their controversies, I really was losing interest in their products. I still have the original chocolate bar palette, and I have their concealer. I did buy that sometime last year. That was the last thing I purchased from them. But it was the only thing all of last year I bought from Too Faced. And then the year before, I think I did repurchase the Chocolate Soleil bronzer that year. I still like that bronzer. It was once my favorite bronzer, but lately I hardly wear bronzer anymore anyway. And yeah, their new releases just, I'm not into it. I'm not into it. It's repetitive. You know, it's kind of whatever. I don't think they're doing anything that revolutionary anyway, plus many controversies. So yeah, I'm not into Too Faced. Next up, this was one of my favorite brands for many, many years, but I've mentioned a couple months ago that I don't buy from them anymore, and that is Colourpop. Talk about a brand that is changing. I've seen several videos where people have talked about that they have become less inclusive over time, particularly with their eyeshadows and cheek products. And that is really, really sad. They used to have products that would work for deeper skin tones, and they discontinued a lot of them. That is definitely probably one of their worst offenses. Also, the cultural appropriation, that was a palette last year. That was not okay. And, on a lighter note, less serious than those things, their releases are also very, very repetitive. They release the same palette over and over again. It looks the same, but they change the name. Kind of crazy. Like I said, I do own Colourpop products because it was one of my favorite brands for many years. Something else I've seen lately, I've seen some people say that they actually think that their quality, particularly in their eyeshadows, has also decreased over time. I'm not really sure because I haven't bought any of their new palettes. The last product or palette that I even bought from them, it was the Hocus Pocus palette, which was released around Halloween last year. And shortly after that, I decided not to buy from them anymore. And that palette is good, but I don't know that the formula on that is quite as good as some of my older palettes. I'm not sure. It was a lot of the newer palettes that I've seen people say that they really did not like that much. So yeah, a lot of issues with Colourpop. And of course, people are always saying they release things constantly, and they do. That wouldn't bother me as much if the products were interesting or unique. But yeah, they just release the same stuff over and over again, and they just change the name. Next up is a brand I know a lot of people consider controversial. I once actually did like a lot of the products from them, and I had several palettes, and that is a Morphe. Yes, so when all the influencers several years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, were constantly pushing the Morphe, I did buy several of their 35 palettes, and I bought the original Jaclyn Hill palette. And I used to be a big fan of Jaclyn Hill, not so much anymore. But yeah, Morphe, pretty shady, not gonna lie. Smoky Glow's video on Morphe was really, really good. If you did not watch that, I highly, highly suggest it. It was very, very interesting. Ridiculously sized 35 pan palettes that have 50 shades of brown in them. So repetitive. I don't like these massive palettes that are difficult to store. They collab and work with the most shady influencers out there. I mean, really, just no. So I lost interest in this brand several years ago. I mean, I don't think I've bought anything from Morphe for a good 2 years or so. I think the last thing I bought were 2 of the Jaclyn Hill Vault palettes, which so much controversy there. I mean, lies were told. It was a hot mess. Morphe is shady, and that's about it. All right, and the last brand on the negative list, I haven't technically ever bought from this brand, but I'm including it because originally I was hyped about it and I was planning on purchasing from them. Well, that was Jaclyn Cosmetics, and let me tell you, I quickly changed my mind on that. When her lipsticks launched 2 years ago, at that time I still liked her. I didn't like her channel as much as, like 4 or 5 years ago, but I will say 5 years ago when I was watching her videos, I do feel like I learned a lot about makeup applications. So I have to give her credit for that. And I was excited to try the lipsticks. Well, we all know what happened with that launch. I obviously never bought any. And I know that a lot of people have tried her new products and do think very highly of them. But personally, my issue is not so much the lipsticks and that they were gross and disgusting. It was just the way that she handled it and her company as a whole handled it. I just feel like it was really unprofessional, and it just really turned me off. I feel like you can't really be doing the same stuff as a usual YouTuber once you own your own company. I think you have to be more professional. I think that you need to take things like this seriously, and there's been so many videos done about this. My short take on it is, I get kind of from a legal standpoint maybe why she can't say exactly what happened, but what I really don't like is that when initially it started happening, she was blaming people, themselves, saying, oh, well, they were using the lipsticks wrong, or they had dry lips, or whatever. Like, What? You cannot say that to people. I mean, no one really should say that to anybody that's mean anyway. But as a brand owner, you really just, you need to be more professional, and she's just not. And I just don't want to give my money to companies like this. And there are way more shady companies out there. I know this list is very, very short. There are so many brands out there that are super duper shady and unprofessional and all of that. So I get that. And the brands I'm about to mention as brands that I'm still really excited about, I know are likely not perfect as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the positives. All right, the first brand I'm still excited about is going to be an obvious one. That's Natasha Nona. I still really like Natasha Nona. I own quite a few palettes by her. And even her latest palette, the Circo Loco, I thought it was beautiful and very, very interesting. I'm not buying that palette, and I recently mentioned in a palettes I'm not buying video just because I don't think I would use it that much. It is quite expensive, but I can appreciate it for what it is, and the reviews seem to be quite positive on that. It seems that the formula is great, and I really love her eyeshadow formula. I actually don't think I've tried anything but eyeshadows from Natasha Nona, so I would really like to change that because the highlighters and the lip products get really, really good reviews. She has released some foundations over the years that the reviews were very, very mixed on. But I appreciate her creativity. I like the quality of the eyeshadows. I mean, I don't like all of the palettes equally, honestly, but that's the thing about a brand that I love and still excites me. I don't have to like every product, and I don't have to buy every product from them to still appreciate them as a whole. Next up, a brand that really, really excites me is e.l.f. Cosmetics. I have been purchasing from e.l.f. Cosmetics for probably 10 years. It is one of the first brands that I kind of went out and bought based on YouTube recommendations a long time ago. At that time, e.l.f. was only online. Things were still, almost everything was $1. And at that time, I was just first getting into makeup. I was in grad school, so it's not like I could buy a lot of high-end makeup. It was perfect. I mean, I could buy, you know, $30 worth of stuff and get a lot of different things to try. Not everything was good. I mean, I will admit it wasn't all amazing, but some of the blushes they had back then were fantastic. Their eyeshadows back then were pretty awful, not gonna lie. But brow products and their brushes, that was also a really great way for me to buy some makeup brushes when I had absolutely zero brushes. I don't know. I have a lot of nostalgia for e.l.f. and they've come a long way. Now they've obviously raised some of their prices, but it's still not crazy. I will say the e.l.f. Retro Paradise palette is one of my favorites in my collection. I still don't love all of their newer eyeshadows, but that palette is fantastic. It's only $14. Also, their Flawless Satin Finish foundation is one of my most repurchased. I think I've bought 6 or 7 bottles of that over the years. It's only $6. I mean, you don't get a full fluid ounce, but it's fine. It's still only $6. It is a lovely formula. And yeah, there's definitely still some things from e.l.f. that I am not that into, but I also like their blushes, and I have a bronzer from them that is fantastic. And I just think it's great. They don't release things all the time, but when they do release something, I definitely get excited for it. So I like that it's still affordable. I'm okay that they've increased their prices some because they have increased their quality. I really don't like it when brands just like increase their prices every year for no reason, but nothing else changes. I think if you're gonna increase your prices, I think you should increase your formula, especially for a cheaper brand like e.l.f. And they have done that. And yeah, I love e.l.f. Cosmetics. Next up is another affordable brand, and that is BH Cosmetics. Talk about an improvement in formula. I first bought some eyeshadows from them about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and they were really chalky and terrible. However, in the last 3 years, they have really improved their formula. If you watch my channel, I talk about their palettes all the time. They are so good, and their palettes cost between like $12 and $20. And the formula is fantastic. I mean, I think it's better than Colourpop. I think I like it even more than Juvia's, which Juvia's is still a brand I really enjoy as well. And yeah, BH really improved their formula, still great quality. There's a lot more I want to try from them, to be honest. I'd love to try their foundation and some of their other products. Right now, all I have from them are eyeshadow palettes. But yeah, I'm very into BH. Next up is a brand I know that most people are not excited about anymore, but in the last year, I have really been into this brand, and that's Urban Decay. I know that sounds kind of strange because I feel like nowadays when people talk about Urban Decay, they talk about how boring they are. But personally, I love the Naked Reloaded palette and the Naked Honey palette. The Wired palette, nobody liked that one, but I really like that. It's one of my favorite rainbow palettes. And I actually really want to buy more palettes from them. I'm very interested in the Wild West palette and also the Ultraviolet palette. I think they look really, really nice. The reviews are mixed on Ultraviolet, and I will say the Wild West has some pretty good reviews overall. But I don't know, I'm into Urban Decay, and they have some other great products too. Their lip products are great. People rave about their concealer and their foundation. I have not tried those, but I've seen a lot of people say good things about them. So I'm very interested to try that. And yeah, I mean, I don't think everything they release is amazing, but I'm still very into Urban Decay. I will say though, I don't know why they got rid of the highlighters in that square packaging and also the blushes. Those are great. I don't know what happened to those. That's kind of sad. They should probably bring those back. But yes, I'm very interested in Urban Decay still, and I'm thinking of getting more eyeshadow palettes from them. Alrighty, and last up, a brand that excites me is McGrath Labs. And I really, really, really love this brand. A lot of it is very expensive, so I don't own a lot from it. But again, I feel like with McGrath, like Natasha Nona, I can appreciate the brand for what it is. I don't have to own every product because it is very, very pricey. I only own one of the larger mothership palettes. It's beautiful, but you know, for $125, I don't think I'm gonna go out and buy all of them, but I can appreciate the one that I have. I have a few other of her smaller palettes. I love her lip glosses. I'm wearing a McGrath gloss right now, and her lip liners are amazing. And I think she does innovative things. I really, really like that. It's hard to be innovative nowadays in makeup because there's already so much out there, but I do feel like McGrath is one of the few brands that is still making products that are really, really unique and interesting. Again, I'm not gonna go out and buy all of them, particularly the expensive palettes. I would love to try the concealer. I did try a sample of the foundation and that did not work out well for my skin type, but that's okay. I still love the brand. Not everything has to work for me. That's the thing, is a brand can be one of my favorite brands, but that doesn't mean every product from them I have to like, enjoy, or want to purchase. So yeah, I find McGrath Labs a very interesting brand. I love to see what they release, even though I don't buy all of it, but I really enjoy the products that I have. Alrighty, that is it for this video. Please let us know what brands you do and don't support or are excited about. Obviously, like I said at the beginning of this video, we can all spend our money on what we want. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do or anything like that. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.